Chosen one, breathe with me for just a moment. Not out of habit, not out of routine, but because heaven is speaking, and your soul knows it. You didn't land on this message by accident. This is not background noise. It's not another passing clip. It's a sacred appointment. The veil has been parted. The Spirit of God has summoned you to this exact moment because something eternal is being released into your atmosphere. A scroll has been opened in the heavenly courts, and your name is written on it. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that you've been seen but not by people, seen by God, watched in silence when no one else was clapping, covered by His grace when others walked away. Your tears weren't wasted. They were bottled in heaven. Every act of integrity when no one was looking, every time you chose love when anger was easier, every moment you stayed silent when lies were louder, God saw it all. And now, He's moving, not because of pity, but because of purpose. This is your Kairos moment, a divine convergence between obedience and reward. Proverbs 13:22 reminds us, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. You are stepping into what's been accumulating behind the scenes. The enemy thought you were forgotten, but the books have been opened, and heaven is releasing compensation, supernatural restoration, not just in spirit, but in relationships, in finances, in purpose, in influence, a divine inheritance. Hear me, beloved. The kingdom of heaven is not a myth. It's not a metaphor. It's a system more precise than any economy on earth. And your obedience has been compounding. There is spiritual equity tied to your faith. The seeds you planted in private are now demanding public harvest. This isn't just breakthrough, it's divine redistribution. Take another breath, chosen one, because what you're about to receive isn't simply for comfort, it's for calling. The anointing that's been growing in silence is about to speak so loud that even your enemies will recognize God's hand on you. Psalm 23:5 declares, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." And beloved, the overflow has begun. Stay with me, because what's coming in this message is not merely words, it's a prophetic unlocking. And in the final moments of this video, we will release a prayer, one that seals what heaven has already started stirring in your soul. Don't miss it. This is sacred ground. Chosen one, you've been walking through a season that felt like silence. You've questioned, not out loud, but in your spirit, does anyone see what I've carried? Does anyone know what it cost me to stay kind when I was being mistreated, to stay faithful when it would have been easier to give up? And hear this clearly. Heaven knows. God didn't just see what you went through. He recorded it. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are favored. This is not flattery, it's fact. Favor does not always look like applause. Sometimes favor looks like isolation. It looks like people walking away without explanation. It looks like rejection, but it's really redirection. God has been isolating you to incubate something inside you, something no one else could understand. And now, the time of unveiling is here. Beloved, your obedience has value, and value always demands a return. Galatians 6-9 reminds us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." This is the proper time. The moment heaven whispers to the angels, "Release the reward, open the scroll, begin the transfer." It's not just favor in theory, it's favor in action. Favor in your finances, favor in your mindset. Favor in business opportunities you didn't chase, but that have been assigned to you by the Spirit of God. You've noticed it, haven't you? The numbers repeating, the dreams that linger even after you wake, the strange urge to prepare, even though nothing in the natural has changed. That's not coincidence. That's prophetic signaling. Heaven has been alerting your spirit because the release is spiritual before it's physical. Just like Joseph, who was called from the prison to the palace in a single day, Genesis 41-14, your shift won't come by the hand of man. It will come by the decree of God. And when it happens, it will make sense why you had to endure so long, why the attacks increased, why your name was whispered in rooms without your consent. Psalm 105-19 says, "Until the time that his word came to pass, the word of the Lord tested him." You were being tested not to disqualify you, but to solidify you. Because what God is about to trust you with cannot be given to the unproven. Hear this. The shaking wasn't punishment, it was placement. The betrayal wasn't destruction, it was divine alignment. The very people who thought they buried you were actually planting you. And now the seed is about to sprout, not by force, but by prophecy. Let this sink in. God doesn't bless recklessly, he blesses intentionally. The wealth of the wicked has been stored up not for just anybody, but for you, the righteous one who remained standing when it would have been easier to fall. You, the one who kept giving even when you were barely holding on. The investment you made into other people's healing, other people's stability, other people's success. It's about to return with interest. And now, chosen one, I must say this with urgency and love. Do not let the weariness of waiting steal the joy of receiving. You're so close. The final test is often the one that feels the most unbearable, not because it's punishment, but because you're about to carry weight in places you once felt invisible. This is why the warfare increased. This is why your restlessness won't go away. You've outgrown the old version of yourself, and now God is about to reveal the matured, anointed, sharpened version he's been forming in the quiet. The version that carries authority in the boardroom and in the prayer room. The version who builds legacy through vision, not just hustle. The version who understands that financial blessing isn't about status, it's about stewardship. Let me pause right here, at this turning point in your journey, and gently invite you to sow into this prophetic word, not as a transaction, but as an act of agreement. If this message is watering your spirit, consider using the YouTube Super Thanks as a declaration of alignment. You're not giving to a channel, you're investing in the atmosphere that's been shifting while you listen. A seed of faith placed in prophetic soil always multiplies. Now, stay with me, because what's coming next in this word will not only confirm what your spirit has been sensing, it will give you strategy for how to carry this blessing with discernment and power. We are not done. Heaven has more to say. Chosen one, listen with your spirit, not just your ears, because what God is releasing now is not just favor, it's function. You are being shifted into a new level of spiritual authority, one that does not come from title or status, but from endurance, humility, and tested wisdom. There is a mantle being laid across your shoulders, and it fits you only because of what you survived. The blessing that's coming is not lightweight. It's heavy with purpose, and only the refined can carry it with grace. There are rooms being prepared for your presence, rooms of influence, rooms of leadership, rooms where policies shift and atmospheres bend because of the oil on your life. And you won't have to announce yourself when you enter. The presence of God will do it for you. There are boardrooms, platforms, and global spaces that are being spiritually assigned to those who have learned to lead from the secret place, not with control, but with character. That stirring you feel, that quiet restlessness, it's not anxiety, it's prophetic preparation. Your spirit is picking up blueprints from heaven that your mind hasn't yet decoded. The conversations you've overheard lately, the books that have fallen into your hands, the ideas that come during stillness, those aren't distractions, they're downloads. Heaven is feeding you vision in pieces so that pride doesn't try to hijack the plan. God is building something in you that will outlast you, something transgenerational, something that will speak for you when you're no longer in the room. And yes, the isolation made you question your worth. But now, it will confirm your assignment, because separation always comes before elevation. Elijah was fed in the wilderness before he confronted kings. Moses was hidden in the desert before he faced Pharaoh. And you, yes, you have been tucked in the quiet for a reason, not to be ignored, but to be ignited. Beloved soul, the fire that God is placing in you now cannot be extinguished by popularity, nor diluted by applause. It is a holy fire, a disruptive anointing. And when it is fully activated, it will break cycles that have run in families for generations. You won't just succeed, you'll establish. You won't just climb, you'll build. What God is birthing through you is not just restoration, it's reformation. You've been trusted with pain so that you could carry healing. You've been trusted with scarcity so that you could understand abundance. You've been trusted with betrayal so that you could steward loyalty. God didn't allow it to crush you, He allowed it to clarify you. And now, what once looked like loss is being rewritten as legacy. Watch this. Financial provision will begin to follow you, not because you chase it, but because you walk in obedience. Contracts, deals, partnerships, opportunities, they are being magnetized toward your name in this season. Because favor doesn't follow effort, it follows alignment. When you move in sync with heaven's rhythm, blessings are not resisted, they are released. And God is clearing the way, even now, for divine connections to find you. You don't have to force yourself into spaces anymore. What's for you will recognize you. It will call you by your spiritual name. The version of you that once had to strive and prove and perform is being retired. And the version of you that simply receives not from pride, but from peace is being revealed. Let me say this prophetically. The marketplace is about to make room for your mantle. Business is not separate from ministry. Finance is not separate from purpose. God is merging the sacred and the strategic in your life. You will be a vessel of provision and a carrier of spiritual intelligence. The kind of insight that doesn't just produce income but impact. You will speak and solutions will rise. You will write and doors will open. You will create and healing will follow. Because you are not building for clout, you're building for kingdom. And heaven is underwriting your assignment with divine resources. Chosen one, don't miss this next part because it is key. Some of the people connected to your past will not be able to follow you into your future. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. God is doing a relational audit, not to punish you, but to protect what He's placing in your hands. Misaligned connections are spiritual liabilities. And in this next season, your peace must be protected like currency. You cannot explain your calling to everyone. Some will misunderstand it, others will envy it, and still others will try to reduce it. But stay planted, because your obedience is not for their approval, it is for heaven's fulfillment. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the fire on your life. You only owe God your yes. This is a transition that carries consequences, both spiritual and financial. But you will not lack, you will not beg, you will not break. You will rise with clarity, with provision, with divine backing. The Lord is your advocate, your banker, your strategist. And when heaven sponsors your destiny, no man can reverse it. You're stepping into what I call prophetic liquidity, where vision is funded not just by effort, but by revelation, where the wealth of the wicked is redirected to the obedient, where ideas are turned into inheritance. Proverbs 13:11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." You've been gathering quietly, consistently, and now it's increasing. Listen carefully. Divine timing is about to collide with your preparation, and what looked like delay is about to reveal itself as divine disguise. God didn't forget. He hid you so you could be revealed at the right moment, because the blessing that's coming isn't for applause, it's for assignment. Stay with me, beloved. There's more. We're not done. Chosen one, what you're stepping into now requires a recalibration of how you think about access. This is no longer the season where you wait for others to open doors. God is handing you keys. Not just one, but a ring of them. And each key represents an area where you once experienced resistance, delay, or dismissal. Where you used to knock and wait, you will now unlock and walk through. Not because you forced your way in, but because heaven has transferred ownership. There are territories, emotional, spiritual, and financial, that once rejected you, that are now being assigned to you. The very environment that once disqualified you will now recognize your authority. Not because they changed, but because you did. God has expanded your capacity, refined your discernment, and deepened your wisdom. You are no longer seeking validation. You are walking in identity. This next move is not just about being seen, it's about being positioned. It's not about spotlight, it's about spiritual strategy. The people who once overlooked you are going to witness your elevation, and they won't understand how or when it happened, because the process was hidden. The development was private. And now, the unveiling will be divine. There are blueprints being downloaded into your spirit even now. Strategies that will disrupt the cycles of poverty and lack, not just in your life, but in your bloodline. This is not just financial increase, it's financial deliverance. You are breaking generational patterns of scarcity. You are rewriting the economic story of your family. You are moving from survival thinking into stewardship thinking, from scraping by to securing legacy. God is calling you to build wealth that is infused with wisdom, influence that is rooted in humility, power that flows from purity. And when this manifestation begins to take shape, it will not feel like hype. It will feel like home. Because your spirit already knows this territory. You've seen it in dreams. You've tasted it in prayer. You've glimpsed it during worship. And now, it's time to walk in it. This is also a season of divine appointments, people whose spirits are already connected to yours in the unseen. Some of them will come to invest, some to build, some to pour into you what you once poured into others. God is creating a circle where reciprocity replaces extraction, where iron sharpens iron, where your gifts are celebrated, not tolerated. This is covenant connection, not convenience. And, beloved, I must say this, some of the opportunities that are coming may look bigger than you. They may feel too advanced, too massive, too not yet, but don't run. God is not giving you opportunities that match your comfort. He's giving you opportunities that match your calling. And if your mind is overwhelmed, let your spirit lead. Because faith will always arrive before logic does. And this next leap cannot be calculated. It must be trusted. There are angels on assignment, clearing paths you haven't yet stepped on. The resources are already en route. The yes has already been spoken. The favor has already been decided. You are not waiting for heaven to move. Heaven is waiting for you to believe it has already moved. Psalm 90:17 says, "Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands." This is not the favor that fizzles. This is the kind of favor that establishes, that roots, that multiplies. And the work of your hands, every hidden project, every quiet effort, every seed sown in obscurity, is about to bear fruit publicly, not for fame, but for fulfillment. And in this sacred unfolding, God is calling you into maturity, emotional maturity, financial maturity, spiritual maturity, because elevation without maturity leads to collapse. And He loves you too much to let the blessing become a burden. That's why the release took time. That's why the promise seemed delayed. But the delay was never a denial. It was an incubation. Hear me. The things that once overwhelmed you will now feel manageable. The conversations that once triggered you will now reveal your growth. The challenges that once paralyzed you will now provoke strategy. Because God has been transforming you in the waiting. You didn't just survive, you evolved. This is why certain invitations are returning. People who once rejected your gift will now ask for your wisdom. But discern carefully, every table isn't your table. Every stage isn't your platform. Every offer isn't your assignment. You are not in lack. You are in surplus. And in this next chapter, you don't chase, you choose. There will be moments ahead when the enemy will whisper, "You're not ready. You don't have enough. You're still healing." But hear this, the enemy only attacks what's about to manifest. If you weren't close, he wouldn't be pressing. The warfare is confirmation. The pressure is announcement. You are not behind. You are becoming. Stay close to the presence of God, because in the quiet, you'll hear the strategy. In the stillness, you'll sense the next step. God is not calling you to hustle harder. He's calling you to align deeper. Because when you're in alignment, grace makes the way. Provision meets you there. Supernatural supply unfolds without striving. And beloved, let me remind you with tenderness and authority, this is the season to document. Write the vision, record the ideas, capture the downloads, because what God is giving you is not just for now. It's for generations. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain, that he may run who reads it." Your vision is not too big, it's too sacred to be rushed. This is why your sleep has been interrupted, why your appetite has changed, why your energy has shifted. Your spirit is in acceleration mode. God is preparing your body to match your breakthrough, your mind to carry the new weight, your voice to speak with greater reach. This is the divine upgrade, and every system in your life is being recalibrated to sustain it. Stay with me, chosen one. There's more coming. Chosen one, there is a shift happening inside you that has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with your calibration. God is tuning your spirit to the frequency of divine precision. Where once you moved based on opportunity, now you will move based on instruction. This next phase of your journey will not be governed by urgency, but by clarity. You will no longer chase open doors. You will wait for doors that speak your name when they open. You're entering a realm of discernment where timing becomes just as important as direction. God is not simply showing you where to go. He is showing you when to go. Because acceleration outside of divine timing is just disguised delay. And you are being trained in the rhythm of heaven. No more premature launches. No more wasted movements. No more emotional investments in places God never called you to occupy. You've been feeling it, haven't you? The need to withdraw, the call to step back from noise, from distraction, from anything that dilutes your inner stillness. That isn't you isolating, it's God insulating. He is refining your palate. What used to satisfy now feels dull. What used to excite now feels shallow. That's not boredom, it's elevation. Your soul is rejecting counterfeits. It's craving substance. And here's the beauty of it all. God is not just upgrading your environment, He's upgrading your instincts. He's refining the way you read a room, the way you sense deception, the way you detect alignment. You're no longer surprised by betrayal, because your spirit picks it up before your heart gets entangled. This is spiritual intelligence, and it's the currency of those who build beyond emotional storms. Chosen one, hear this. Restoration is not always about getting back what you lost. Sometimes it's about receiving what you never knew you needed. God is restoring the years the locusts have eaten, not by rewinding time, but by releasing acceleration. Joel 2:25 declares, "I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten." And beloved, some of your greatest gains will come in places that once brought your deepest grief. There is divine compensation being released, not just in material things, but in joy, in laughter, in health, in meaningful relationships that replenish instead of drain. For every night you wept without understanding, God is sending days that will overflow with peace that surpasses it. And you won't need an explanation. You'll just know it was worth it. And yes, your obedience has cost you. There are people who left you when you wouldn't compromise. There are positions you forfeited because you refused to lie. There were shortcuts you turned down when you could have taken the easy way. And for a moment, you wondered if it mattered. But now, heaven is answering with undeniable reward. Because purity still has a return, holiness still has a harvest, and integrity still multiplies in the kingdom. Watch how your yes begins to echo, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those connected to your obedience. Your alignment will become someone else's activation. Your courage will unlock someone else's calling. This is the ripple effect of the anointing. It flows beyond your name. And God is using you as a catalyst in this season. Beloved, there's a reason you've been feeling both weight and wonder at the same time. It's because glory carries substance. And the glory that is about to rest on you is not light, it's layered. It requires strengthened shoulders, and God has been building yours in silence. Every disappointment was a push-up. Every disappointment was resistance training for your spirit. And now, you are built to carry what others would crumble under. This is why comparison must die in this season. You cannot look to the left or the right. Your journey was crafted differently. Your preparation was carved by hand. Others may have had the spotlight sooner, but your foundation is deeper. Because what you're building must stand for decades, not just moments. You are not called to trend, you are called to transform. Hear me clearly. The influence that is coming to you will not require compromise. The platform God is raising you onto will not demand your silence. The favor being released will not manipulate you into playing small. You are being launched as you are, not as someone else's version of you, and that authenticity is your power. You will find that what once seemed like closed doors were actually divine shields. Some of the places you tried to force your way into would have devoured you, but grace stepped in and blocked it. Not because you weren't worthy, but because you were chosen. Chosen for better, chosen for more, chosen for something so tailored that only your obedience could unlock it. And chosen one, I must speak this to your future. Don't become so consumed with the next level that you forget to rest in what's already been conquered. You've already come through so much. You've already defeated giants in silence. Celebrate your stamina. Honor your endurance. This isn't just about forward motion, it's about holy reflection. Because the God who brought you through that will bring you into this. Stay sensitive. Heaven is still speaking. Chosen one, the endurance you built in obscurity is about to become your armor in visibility. The same strength that held you together when no one applauded will now sustain you when everyone is watching. Because this next phase isn't just about elevation, it's about exposure. And exposure is not always glamorous. It magnifies both your gift and your grace. And that is why God had to root you deeply before raising you visibly. He's been securing your identity beneath the surface so that you wouldn't seek definition from outside applause. He's been detaching your self-worth from your productivity, your peace from your performance, your validation from voices that don't know your covenant. Because the moment you start building from insecurity, you forfeit the blueprint. And beloved, you carry a heavenly design that cannot afford corruption. This is the season where you must guard your sensitivity like treasure. Not everyone will understand what you carry, and that's okay, they're not supposed to. There is revelation inside you that is timed. Timed to open at the right moment, in the right atmosphere, to the right people. Just like Esther was hidden in the palace until the hour of intervention, you have been tucked away until your oil was aged enough to pour. And now the winepress is done. The aroma of your calling is being released. Some of you have felt the ache of acceleration, the tension of being pulled toward the future while still standing in the present. That's not confusion. It's a prophetic pull. Your spirit is leaning into tomorrow because what's been prepared for you cannot be delayed much longer. God is shortening timelines. He is collapsing cycles that used to take years into moments. What should have taken a decade will now take a season, because this is redemptive time. This is kingdom velocity. And hear this, you are not stepping into shallow waters. You are being led into deep places. Depth of revelation, depth of creativity, depth of relationships that are mutually healing, not performative. You will find yourself surrounded by people who speak your language, people who pray like you, dream like you, build like you. These are not casual companions. They are covenant collaborators. And they are being summoned by the same Spirit who called you. Chosen one. This is also a season of inheritance. But not the kind you earn, the kind you receive. There are promises that belong to your family line that were forfeited by previous generations, but not forgotten by God. He has remembered every sacrifice made by your ancestors, who prayed, who served, who believed, but never saw the harvest. And now, He is releasing what they planted through you. You are the fulfillment of prayers prayed long before you were born. Don't be surprised if you begin to receive access, favor, and insight in areas you've never studied. It's not random. It's legacy. It's the transference of anointing that is generational. Psalm 103:17 says, "But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear Him, and His righteousness unto children's children." You're not just blessed because of you. You're blessed because someone before you bowed low when no one saw them. And now, heaven is honoring that posture through your position. And beloved, as this unfolds, be ready for divine reversals. The places where you were last will call you first. The relationships that ended without closure will make sense without conversation. The resources that were held up by bureaucracy or limitation will suddenly be released without resistance. Because when God says it's time, no system can say otherwise. He is not negotiating your release, he is commanding it. There will be moments where everything begins to move quickly. And in that speed, God will test your stillness. Can you remain centered while being elevated? Can you remain quiet when everyone wants your attention? Can you remain obedient when applause invites you to drift? These are not restrictions, they are refinements. God is not holding you back. He's holding you together. And I must tell you this with spiritual weight. Be cautious of shortcuts that cost you sanctification. Not all progress is prosperity. Some platforms are built by compromise. Some partnerships are laced with poison. And in this hour, you cannot afford to be impressed by opportunity that doesn't align with God's order. Favor without discernment is a trap, and the enemy would love nothing more than to distract you with a counterfeit while heaven is preparing the genuine. But your discernment has matured. You no longer move by surface. You listen for substance. You no longer trust what flatters. You wait for what confirms. Because now you understand the cost of your crown, and you will not trade your oil for convenience. Not this time. This is why your spirit feels heavy with purpose. It's because you've outgrown anything that lacks meaning. You're no longer content with noise. You're called to make sound, kingdom sound, strategic sound, prophetic sound. And that sound is about to echo through spaces that once silenced you. Stay attuned. There's more coming. Chosen one, you are now walking into a dimension where what once felt intangible will begin to materialize without striving. The visions that used to feel too big for your current resources will begin to meet divine funding, not through manipulation, not through desperation, but through alignment. Because God is proving that what He births, He also sustains. You don't have to beg for what was written in your destiny. You only have to believe and build. This is the season where God is dismantling your dependence on predictable sources. Where you once leaned on familiar systems, jobs, contacts, routines, He is now teaching you how to receive from unfamiliar streams. Elijah didn't expect to be fed by ravens, yet provision came from what made no sense in the natural. And so it will be for you. Provision will come from unexpected hands. Support will rise from unlikely voices. Favor will emerge in places where you were once overlooked, because your obedience has authorized heaven to release help. And with that help comes responsibility. Not performance, but stewardship. You're not being blessed to impress. You're being trusted to build. Build structures that host peace. Build systems that reflect the kingdom. Build movements that outlive your name. Your assignment is not small. It's not soft. It's not subtle. It carries weight. It carries heaven's agenda. And it will require you to operate with spiritual precision and financial literacy at the same time. This is why God is increasing your capacity not just spiritually, but mentally, emotionally, and administratively. Where your thinking was once linear, it is now multidimensional. Where your focus was once fragmented, it is now laser sharp. He is giving you the mind of a strategist, the heart of a servant, and the hands of a builder. Because what you're called to release requires more than prayer, it requires planning. The vision will always be holy, but the execution must be excellent. Chosen one, your excellence will become your evangelism. People will witness the way you show up, the way you operate, the way you lead, and they will be drawn to the source behind it. That's why God has been working on the inside so the outside cannot corrupt it. He is making you a safe vessel for glory, a trustworthy carrier of influence. Someone who doesn't confuse access with approval or spotlight with success. In this unfolding, you will begin to feel a sense of divine recall. Things you once laid down will begin to stir again. Old dreams will resurrect with new instructions. Delayed ideas will return, not as burdens, but as blueprints. Even relationships that seemed irrelevant may reappear, this time with different purpose. Don't dismiss these moments. They're not nostalgia. They're nudges, clues from heaven that your next season may require tools you once thought you wouldn't need. God wastes nothing. The skills you picked up in past jobs, the lessons you learned in failed ventures, the prayers you whispered when no one knew you were breaking, He's gathering it all. Every piece will serve a role. Every scar will be a map. Every chapter you survived is a seed now blooming into strategy. What once looked random will now reveal itself as rhythm. What once felt wasted will now function as wisdom. And yes, you'll notice that time feels different. Hours may stretch, days may accelerate, conversations may carry more weight. That's because you've entered Kairos, an appointed moment where heaven moves on your behalf outside of human timeframes. You'll see things shift that should have taken years, because this isn't reward based on time, it's reward based on trust. Psalm 31:15 says, "My times are in your hands," and God is holding your timeline like a skilled conductor, orchestrating a symphony of events that will crescendo into manifestation. The missed deadlines, the deferred launches, the unanswered messages, they were not delays. They were divine detours, ensuring you wouldn't arrive underdeveloped. And now the signal has gone out. Release it. Chosen one, this is also the season of unfiltered clarity. The fog is lifting. The indecision that clouded your spirit is breaking. You will know what to say yes to and what to walk away from. There will be no guilt in your no, no shame in your silence. You are not being arrogant, you are being obedient. Because in this season, obedience requires focus, and focus requires filters. God is not just protecting your peace, He's prioritizing your power. And with this clarity comes confrontation, not of others, but of self. You will confront the inner voices that said you weren't enough, the doubts that whispered your dreams were too lofty, the fears that fed your procrastination. But this time, you will not run from them. You will speak to them. You will command them to bow to the truth of who you are in Christ. Because the lies that controlled your past no longer have legal access to your present. You've crossed over into dominion. That means you no longer just respond to atmospheres, you shift them. You no longer ask for permission, you walk in authority. You no longer explain your light, you shine with conviction. And yes, it will intimidate some, but it will inspire more, because light exposes, but it also heals. Stay tuned, the revelation is still unfolding. Chosen one, in this season, your presence will begin to feel like prophecy, not because you say much, but because of what you carry. You'll enter spaces and shift atmospheres without uttering a word. You'll be invited into rooms not for your resume, but for your resonance. People will sense the weight on your life, the invisible authority born not from applause but from fire. And those with spiritual sensitivity will recognize that you're not coming to compete, you're coming to complete a divine assignment. This is the unfolding of spiritual legacy. God is placing upon you a mantle that carries more than influence, it carries responsibility. You're not just called to be visible, you're called to be viable. Your words must carry substance. Your decisions must echo integrity. Your partnerships must reflect heaven's agenda. Because you are no longer just representing yourself, you're representing the intention of the one who sent you. This is why the wilderness had to strip you, why the isolation felt cruel, why the silence seemed endless. It wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. God was burning off every false identity, every codependent attachment, every learned behavior that didn't match your next dimension. He was pruning you, not to punish you, but to purify the fruit. And now, the vine is ready to bear weight. The harvest is not just external, it's internal. You're about to reap peace in places where you used to spiral. You're about to reap confidence where you once questioned your worth. You're about to reap stamina in places where you used to shut down. Because God didn't just train your gift, He rebuilt your core. And now, your foundation is fire-tested. Hear this, beloved. Your voice is entering a new register, not just in sound, but in spirit. You're not just speaking to be heard, you're speaking to shift dimensions. You will notice how people lean in when you open your mouth, not because of charisma, but because of confirmation. Your voice will sound like something their spirit already knew, but didn't know how to articulate. That's the sound of divine resonance, and it cannot be imitated. But with this clarity also comes a stripping of the unnecessary. You will find yourself releasing not just people, but patterns. Habits that once comforted you will begin to feel constrictive. Activities that once entertained you will suddenly drain you. This is not boredom, it's transformation. God is changing your appetite to match your assignment. And chosen one, be ready for redefinition, not by others, but by God. The titles you once carried may no longer apply. The labels people gave you out of misunderstanding or convenience are being peeled off. He is naming you again. He is calling you by the name spoken in the eternal realm before time began. And that name carries jurisdiction, it carries clearance, it carries keys. Revelation 3:8 says, "Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut." And this door is not symbolic, it is specific. It leads to territory you were born to occupy. And the reason you felt resistance is because you've been positioned in front of it. The enemy cannot lock it, but he will try to distract you from walking through. Don't be fooled. The delay isn't denial. It's the final test of focus. And yes, the weight may intensify as you draw closer. That's because glory has gravity, and anything not rooted in truth will fall away in its presence. You may feel lighter in this season not because life is easy, but because the unnecessary has been peeled away. God is refining your momentum. You're no longer driven by pressure. You're pulled by purpose. There will be encounters ahead where people will ask you for answers you didn't study for. They'll seek solutions that only the Spirit can download. And in those moments, don't shrink. Speak with the authority of one who has wrestled with God in the dark and come out with a limp and a revelation. You're not speaking theory, you're releasing testimony. And testimony breaks chains. Chosen one, prepare for the emergence of divine memory. Moments from your childhood, fragments of forgotten dreams, pieces of long-dismissed ideas, they will return to the surface, not as nostalgia, but as assignment. The very thing you once dismissed as irrelevant will now become the raw material for vision. God is redeeming even your earliest years. Nothing will be wasted. And with this emergence will come favor that doesn't make sense. Doors that shouldn't open will swing wide. People with influence will ask for your voice in conversations you weren't trained to enter. But don't defer. Don't deflect. Step in with the humility of one who knows it's not by power or might, but by the Spirit of God. This is divine fulfillment. Not forced, not fast, faithful. God is fulfilling every word He whispered in the dark, every promise you held onto with trembling hands, every vision you guarded while others laughed. He's fulfilling it, not to prove your worth, but to demonstrate his nature, because when God speaks, heaven records it. And when heaven records it, it must come to pass. Stay in position, beloved. There's more unfolding. Chosen one, what's happening now in your spirit is not just awakening, it's activation. The oil on your life is no longer dormant. It's moving, flowing, stretching into areas of your identity that you once left untouched because you thought they didn't qualify. But God doesn't anoint the polished, he anoints the surrendered. And you've been yielding in places most can't see. Quietly, deeply, fully. That private surrender is now becoming public authority. You will begin to notice the acceleration of divine intelligence. Ideas that once took hours will come in seconds. Solutions that confounded others will rise in your heart like instinct. You'll know what to say, where to go, and when to wait, not because you read it in a book, but because you've been sitting at the feet of the master teacher. Heaven is downloading strategies for impact, structures for multiplication, and insights that cannot be learned in natural systems. These are spirit-born blueprints. And because of this acceleration, you must also honor the pace of rest. Divine momentum is not the absence of stillness, it is the result of alignment. You are not called to burn out in pursuit of breakthrough. You are called to move with the cadence of the Spirit, who neither hurries nor hesitates. The stillness that once felt like delay will now feel like divine rhythm, because when heaven moves, everything obeys. Beloved, the reason your name has been whispered lately by strangers, by leaders, by people you've never met, is because your spirit has gone ahead of you. Your assignment has already arrived in rooms your feet have not yet entered. That tug in your heart, that sense that something is shifting even when nothing around you has changed, that's not wishful thinking. That's prophetic alignment. Heaven is introducing your next before you physically encounter it. And with that introduction comes preparation. You'll begin to feel the need to organize, to clean, to realign even the smallest details. That's not random. It's prophetic housekeeping. God is creating space in your life for what's about to land. He's decluttering your calendar, your mind, your environment, your emotions. Because the blessing he's bringing cannot dwell in chaos. It requires peace, order, and expectation. And don't be alarmed if certain doors begin to close on their own. These are not losses, they are exits written by heaven. You prayed for clarity, and this is the answer. When God removes, he's not punishing, he's preserving. When he blocks, he's not being cruel, he's being surgical. He knows what would have delayed you. He knows what would have diluted your focus. And he loves you too much to allow distractions to masquerade as opportunities. You're in the middle of a divine repositioning, and the unsettling you feel is not instability, it's recalibration. The shaking is not destruction, it's the echo of foundations being reset. And while others may interpret your silence as withdrawal, they don't realize you're being recommissioned by heaven. This is not retreat, it's re-entry. And when you return, you'll return with a mantle. Hear this, you are not just called to rise, you're called to reign. And reigning in the kingdom looks like wisdom under pressure, love under scrutiny, and vision under attack. God is giving you internal governance before he gives you external influence, because platforms without principles collapse. But you are being built to endure. You're not a moment, you're a move of God. This is why you feel the tension between exposure and protection. One day you're hidden, the next day someone mentions your name out of nowhere. One moment you feel anonymous, the next you're being summoned. That's the divine toggle. God is teaching you how to navigate both visibility and invisibility with the same level of discipline, because your character must be consistent, whether in the secret place or on the stage. And chosen one, let me tell you plainly, the influence coming is not for ego, it's for access. God is trusting you to stand in places others can't. Not because you're perfect, but because you're purified. You've been through fire that burned off pride. You've been through storms that shattered false strength. And what's left is a vessel God can trust to carry the weight of answered prayers. You will become a sign, not of perfection, but of persistence, a living testimony of what happens when you don't quit, even when quitting would have been easier. You'll walk into rooms as the evidence of divine restoration. The people who knew your weakness will now witness your wisdom. The ones who saw your breakdown will now watch your build-up. Because God doesn't just restore, He redeems, repurposes, and reveals. You are entering what I call the prophetic harvest. Not just a return of what was planted, but the release of what was promised. There are words that were spoken over you years ago by pastors, by mentors, even by strangers that felt too heavy to believe. But now, suddenly, those words feel light. They feel possible. That's because the season has caught up with the prophecy. The soil is ready, and the seed hasn't died, it's been waiting. So don't rush this unfolding. Walk slowly, walk surely. Walk with the confidence of someone who knows heaven is watching every step. You are not walking in circles, you are walking on coordinates. Chosen one, listen carefully. The battles you've been fighting lately aren't just spiritual. They're prophetic resistance to your next level of embodiment. You are not just entering a new season. You are becoming someone new. And with that identity shift comes tension. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're walking in a realm of authority the enemy thought you'd never survive long enough to touch. You were supposed to break. You were supposed to bend under the pressure, but you didn't. You kept forgiving. You kept praying. You kept building. You kept sowing, even when you were bleeding. And now, the realm of heaven is responding with honor. Not public applause, eternal validation. God is clothing you in garments unseen by men, but recognized by angels. You've been promoted in the spirit, and soon the earth will reflect it. There is a convergence happening within you. Mind, body, spirit, and assignment are aligning into one rhythm. That's why your body feels different. That's why your spirit has become more selective about what you consume. That's why your vision feels sharper, your words feel heavier, your silence feels louder. You are no longer who you used to be. And pretending you're still just figuring it out would be dishonesty in the face of divine clarity. This next realm doesn't require you to be louder. It requires you to be clearer. Speak with the clarity of one who has been with God. Move with the clarity of one who understands stewardship. You are no longer seeking attention. You are cultivating atmosphere. And atmosphere isn't built with noise, it's built with weight. You carry weight now. Prophetic weight, entrepreneurial weight, intercessory weight, emotional intelligence forged through pain, strategic vision tested in obscurity, insight so sharp it cuts through noise. These aren't titles, they're tools. Tools God has embedded in your spirit for a time such as this, and He is now sharpening you for deployment, not for display, for impact. There are assignments ahead that will not come with introductions. You will simply know. A message, a meeting, a moment of eye contact. The Spirit will say, "This is it," and you will move, not with hesitation, but with heavenly confidence. Because faith is no longer a concept to you, it's a language you speak fluently. And with this language comes discernment, the ability to feel what others overlook, the ability to hear what others drown out, the ability to see through what others decorate. You will no longer tolerate what drains your grace. You will no longer ignore what distorts your direction. God has heightened your sensitivity so that you no longer confuse good with God. You will know the difference instantly. This is why some doors look attractive but feel wrong. This is why some offers seem perfect but trigger unrest. That's not fear, that's the Holy Spirit guarding what you're about to birth. Because what's coming through you is not just for now, it's for nations. And you must protect your womb. You must guard your yes. You must treat your purpose like royalty. Beloved, I must say this plainly. This is not the time to downplay your anointing. False humility has no place in prophetic territory. Shrinking does not honor God. And your silence in the name of politeness can no longer mask your divine instructions. You were not chosen to blend, you were chosen to build. And what you are building carries weight